Hey, welcome back, gamers. In this episode, we're going to be going over mechs and looking at different creations I've made with mech legs. Just going over them, talking about some of the design choices, and along the way, I'll probably be giving you some tips and tricks you may or may not have known. Here's one. If you jump from a standing position, you don't go as high as if you're walking forward and jumping. However, if you hold down shift to crouch and then press jump while holding it, you'll go just as high as you're walking forward. So there's a little tip for you if you're out in the battlefield. That could come in handy one day if you're in a crunch and have to get over a hill or something. So I'll be looking at some of the different designs, including this one, Strider, my first mech, and lots more here in this episode, and at the end, we'll be building one of these mechs. So come and see a Double G with me on Gamer Guide channel. Ladies and gentlemen, and gamers of all variety, welcome back to Gamer Guide channel. I took a week off last week, but I appreciate you guys still being here and checking out these videos. And we had a big patch last week, of course, with the mech leg release and also the release of leagues. I've definitely likened the mech legs a lot since I've had a chance to play them, and leagues has been challenging, I should say. This is my first mech I put together. I'd actually started this mech before mech legs were even released, just in anticipating what would be coming. And I actually had to redesign it a little bit once they came out because I didn't realize the mech legs were going to be 3x3 in dimension as far as connection points. I thought they were going to be 2x6. So I widened it out a little bit, but the basic principle with my first mech was I wanted to make sure that the connecting blocks above the mech legs were not an easy target. So I build my mechs coming out the front side a lot more than I build them upwards. So that way there's a lot more blocks to bury through if someone's trying to take out the connecting points above the mech legs. And that seems to work really good. In fact, I would say this first mech that I made is probably one of my best mechs out of the four that I'm going to show you today. And that's just for various reasons. I've had some hit and misses, and maybe by just talking and showing you what I did right and wrong in these episode, you'll avoid some of the same mistakes or have some good ideas for future builds that maybe don't even include mech legs. So you'll see this thing is pretty tanky. I did decide to go 2 mega SMGs and then use 5 regular SMGs too. I wanted just a lot of firepower. And with that combination and this kind of more compact build I made, I was also able to add on a radar jammer and radar, which I think adds a lot of utility, I guess. And on this, also you'll notice the front of the vehicle has a radar room. So instead of putting the pilot behind the glass, I wanted to put something that looked kind of like it was looking around, so I ended up using the radar. And so I just call it the sensor room, but the actual pilot seat's all the way in the back, one layer away from those rear plates, actually, the small ones, the Tier 2s. So I really played it up the back well, so no rail gunner was going to take me out when I had my back turned to him, as they seem to be rather sneaky and will have a tendency to do that sort of thing. So I just put enough armor there so I can turn around and face the enemy. And the other thing I love about these mech legs too, as you see here, is just that you're able to get around with one leg really pretty well. I can't think of any other type of control or any other kind of movement type that one is enough to get around sufficiently. So I like that a lot about mech legs. It seems almost a little too good, if you know what I mean. Like every other movement type, like hovers and stuff like that, tend to flip over. However, mech legs, you can roam around the countryside, bounce it on one leg like a pogo stick if you want to. So, so these clips here are just basically me in my first match with this thing, kind of running a gun and just getting my feel for how the legs work. They are very controllable, though they're not that quick, so you do have to make pretty good tactical decisions about where you're going and when you're going to advance and not, because you're not going to probably be able to get out of harm's way very easily unless you're in a little group, as everything else is basically as fast or faster than you. So, and that's one of the things too, I would like to see tank tracks be improved. I feel like with mech legs now, there's not really a great reason to have tank tracks anymore, and I have some really cool little tank designs with the same kind of layout, 4 or 5 SMGs, 2 mega SMGs, but I just could never see myself playing them, because the only thing that is really better on tank tracks is that they get a little faster when you overclock them, and they're more compact. So if you want to hide them inside a bunch of blocks, you can do that. But I'll tell you what, they're nowhere near as tanky as these mech legs. So if you're trying to make a tank build, I would strongly recommend going mech legs and not tank tracks. Here at the end, I'm speeding this up a little bit just because, like I said, they are so slow. And this is just me finishing up that particular round. But one of the nice things, too, is even with the 2 Mega SMGs gone, I still have plenty of firepower with the other 5. And with the design, being able to take so much damage on the front, I put so many blocks in between me and the real pilot seat at the back of the craft that you can stay out in the battle a long time, even though you're only using 5 guns. So that was my first creation. That's Strider. This game here, it looks like I got 6-0-10. Not too bad, not great either, but it helped me get up to my first bronze star, which I thought was kind of cool. So that's Strider. I was considering doing a build on this one, actually, because, like I said, it is one of my favorite of the 4 mechs I'll be showing off in this episode, but I think we're actually going to end up giving you the last one, which is more recent creation and made out of the Tier 10 carbon cubes, or Mark 10 carbon cubes now. But this one is a real nice bot, and it's something that is cheaper to build than my other ones. Using just the regular Tier 10 and the regular guns, not the Carbon 6 ones. And I actually think it looks maybe better than the Carbon 6 armor because the legs match it better, you know what I'm saying? And it's a very good performing bot, having that little radar jammer and the front side radar. But anyway, enough about Strider. Let's go ahead and move on to my next creation. My next mech is the Gladiator, or I call it the Gladiator. I went for a different design completely and put it on my Gamer Guide account as I needed something over on that account to help me get some GC. So did a little experimenting and put a wider stance on my robot than the Strider, thinking that putting electroplates on top and in front would kind of help protect it where the blocks would have been before. And then I just used the regular SMGs, though they're the Carbon 6 version, that makes any difference at all, and then plated up the back effectively, as that back plate is good. As with the Strider, I do place my pilot in the back, but this time I wanted to put him between my 2 mech legs too, as that already provides great armor and electroplating. This didn't work as well. I mean, in theory, it seems like it's a good idea, but in practicality, when you're out in the battlefield, I find a lot of people still are shooting for your leg connecting points, and on this robot it seems to come off a lot easier than on Strider and on some of my other creations. So probably out of all my mechs, I don't like this one quite as much. It looks kind of interesting, and it is probably one of the better mechs against bombers and helicopters and stuff because of the mega plate on top and the redundancy on the guns. But I don't know, all in all, it just, the whole package isn't really there, and I think going the Mega SMGs is really a better choice than just spamming more blocks than using as many electroplates. You're not really going to be getting back to base, and if the enemy wants to take off an electroplate, they're going to do it, and most of the time you're going to be in tank fights, you know, so in tank fights, when someone's has a SMG and they're fighting each other, it's better to have more blocks than to have more electroplates. So I would recommend probably getting rid of those mega plates, and that's what I'll be doing on my redesign and building something similar in design, at least to my first one, to Strider, and to also Atlas, which you'll see a little bit later on. So but anyway, I did put a ejector seat on this, and that wasn't a bad idea. It does come in handy sometimes, and you can occasionally get back to the base. Here I just like fall out of the shield, and I'm like, oh crap, what do I do? So I went ahead and I hit F, and this fine gentleman here was nice enough to help me stay in the shield by blocking me in, so that was really cool. I've actually seen that bot on the shop too. Has a really long name, but it seems to be pretty popular. And it does use electroplates, even though I wasn't advising against it. It might be working for that guy. I just feel like unless you're at a distance and just firing pot shots, like if you had rails on your mech and you were going to be a rail sniper, then it would be worth it to get the electroplates. But when you're a field combatant and you're not going to be able to get back real quick, or when you're not a hovercraft medic, I think much better to go block spam. You can see on this robot too, I put on the new bronze hologram I had played a game before this with this thing, and I absolutely got my butt kicked with it because I was basically mobbed by these hovercrafts with mega SMGs all over them, similar to my Argobot, if you know what that looks like. It's just kind of another variation of Argobot. And they were running around in a platoon, and they absolutely whipped me because I was by myself for a while. But in this game, I did pretty good. But I think all in all, I just seemed to perform better on my other robots. So anyway, let's go to my next creation now, and we'll talk about a little bit more about ejector seats and mechs. So back on my Rollin account, I put together another robot called Rampage, and this bigger, more dumpy looking robot has a secret. It has a fully autonomous another vehicle inside of it for escape. I wanted to build kind of an advanced ejector seat that was basically just another vehicle inside of a vehicle. So this one I put together a hovercraft using small hover blades from Mark IV. But this will still get you up to 227 miles per hour. And I just completely covered it in Tier 10 or Mark 10 electroplates, Mark 10.4 and some Mark 10.2. And then I put it inside this vehicle that's pretty armored up. It has 4 layers of armor. That space under the front there is just a damage channel, so you lose the entire front before it really gets into taking out a lot of the rest. I spaced the legs out a little bit further, and I put 8 guns on it, so it's one less gun than the last vehicle, but this actually works just as well, or maybe even better than the Gladiator. I put a little mask on it too, since we are kind of at Halloween time, and named it Rampage after an old video game. Let's go ahead and get in the bottom here. I just want to show you what I did with hiding the vehicle. So this whole back compartment is just a chamber that holds what is now a sled bot. Like I said, at first it had been a hovercraft, and then I had tried a wheel bot when I realized that the hovers weren't functioning, and I was just getting this rotating pilot seat that was attached to hovers that didn't work at all, you know? So I tried with wheels, and it would still spin, like the wheels floated, but if the wheels came in contact, it could go forward and backwards. So that was a slight improvement. So then I realized, well, functional components are just kind of useless, so I went with these sleds. So it just kind of looks like it's, you know, sort of working, but the pilot's just dazed by whatever. Maybe, you know, his vehicle blew up and he wasn't functioning right. So I put these on the bottom, and then I put thrusters faced in all directions. So I have face to the side, face to the back, and then on top it's still, you know, totally coated in the electroplates. And it looks really cool when you blow off the front of the craft and you see this like little autonomous vehicle with a guy, you know, behind the electroplates looking at you. So I kind of like the idea behind it. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work. So if you're trying to think about building a little tiny robot inside of another bigger robot, when you get down to a certain percentage, and I don't know what that percentage is, functional components just no longer work, and you just get a rotating pilot seat. And if it's attached to other stuff, it's just kind of too bad. The only thing that really works is thrusters. So in the future, I'll probably redesign this and make the little compartment inside just have thrusters in all directions, like one up, one down, left, right, front, back, and that way it might get me to fly back. So I could probably shrink down this craft a lot or put a lot more actual armor on it, especially above the legs, which could use more armor, I think, kind of coming out front. And I'd like to put the feet a little closer together, as I found that on the Strider and on Atlas, they're more tanky, it seems like. Though this one does really well because it has so many blocks between bombers, plasma, and the critical areas like the legs and stuff like that. So even though it had one less gun, everything's Triforced and fine. I was just kind of disappointed by this little escape pod not working, because it should work. I think a functional component should be a functional component and function no matter what the percentage of your vehicle is, but I didn't really understand it completely, but that's just not the case at a certain percentage. Movement parts stop working right. Anyway, I'm not going to show you a match on this to save some time, but you might keep that in mind for yourself. Don't try to build a little autonomous vehicle that's going to end up being a sliver of your overall health, as it won't work the way you intended it to. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the Atlas, which we'll also be doing the build on here at the end of the video. So for my more recent creation, I made this Atlas designed similar to the Strider, as I wanted the legs closer together, wanted more blocks out front, but I really wanted to maximize the DPS on my mech, so I went with 3 Mega SMGs and 4 regular SMGs and took away some of the electroplating and took away the radar and the radar jammer and just went for a pure assault vehicle, as you will. It's real similar to the Argobot, except that, of course, it uses mech legs, and as you use mech legs, you're not going to be able to really get back to the base as quickly. So I put lots of blocks out in front of the pilot seat, and I channeled the arrow rods and stuff to be mounted in a smart way, so the pilot seat's a lot harder to take out, as you have to take out pretty much all different areas of the craft to take apart the Atlas. So the idea is just that, if you're going to be face-to-face against other mech or another robot, you want to be putting out the most DPS possible so you can peel off the opponent's guns first, or take out something critical before they can really do a lot of damage to you. And you also need to be tanky enough so you can be out in the field and not be worried about just totally getting bombed and destroyed by someone taking away your legs or just disabling something really important. So this is just kind of more of a DPS toe-to-toe tank. Now, 750 of the CPU are already wrapped up into the Mega SMGs, and then you also have 2 mech legs, which are both 104 each, and then your 4 regular SMGs. So it doesn't leave you a whole lot of blocks to work with, so you really have to use everything smartly. There's a little bit of damage channeling here. And then there's also like arrow rods and stuff too, and everything is, as they call it, prism plated or damage channeled, as I might say. So it's harder to take out your guns without taking out a more tough arrow rod or block underneath. So I'm going to play out the rest of this video, let you guys kind of check out how this thing performs in a game all the way through. Before I go, though, and put some music on for you guys, I'd appreciate it if you would like this video and leave a comment. And if you're new here, I'd also appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel if you're into Robocraft and into gaming videos. Supporting me makes me happy and makes me continue to do these kind of videos for you guys here at Robocraft. So anyway, I think you'll like this vehicle a lot. You'll notice it is carbon 6 blocks, but you don't need carbon 6 blocks. And in fact, it might even look better with the regular blocks, as the orange and blue on the guns, I think, kind of match better with the legs. They haven't made a carbon 6 leg yet, but that would be kind of cool if they did something like that for Halloween. Little hint there, if Free Jam happens to watch this video, why don't you make some carbon 6 mech legs? That would be really cool to kind of match the black and orange armor. Could have some orange electroplates or something like that. But anyway, guys, yeah, so check out the rest of the video, and I will see you in the build garage in a second so we can check out those parts you're going to need to put this together, and then we'll go ahead and do a step-by-step build of the Atlas, something that I think you're going to be happy with and has performed well for me so far. And these games of Robocraft, and let me know what you guys think of the mech legs down below, and let me know what some of your creations have been and cool things you've seen in the RoboShop. I played a fun game the other day with a couple friends of mine, Verdant Dragon and the Awesome Soul. Awesome Soul and Verdant Dragon both have YouTube channels out there, so you should search for that on YouTube. And I was playing some games with them recently, and we took out one of these like monkey bots that had a combination of mech legs and walker legs on front. It actually didn't work that great as far as movement type, but it was a lot of fun to play still. And very artistically done. It looked really great too, so I'll go ahead and post that footage as long as I can find it. And I think that Verdant Dragon also recorded the match and has already probably posted it online, but you can check that if you like. It was just kind of a fun match with those guys. And they have a channel with Awesome Soul out there that every week they put out content as well for Robocraft, so definitely worth checking them out. And I'll go and play with them occasionally as well. And I'll see you guys in the build garage where we'll look at the parts and everything needed to put this together, and then I'll give you a step-by-step instructional tutorial on how to make your own Atlas using carbon 6 cubes, or if you prefer, you can use the regular Mark 10 cubes. Alright, see you in a bit. So I used the old hide behind the rock and shoot the reactor trick, and that seemed to work pretty good. Finishing up this match, a short little game for a battle arena mode game, but I did okay, and had some pretty good teammates as well on that one. So not a great haul-in for the RPs overall, but still a fun little game, something I thought you guys might look. And I think I earned my 1 star for like the 5th time as I continue to go between 1, 2, and 3 stars. So anyway, guys, here is the parts you're going to need to build your own Atlas. And keep in mind that you can substitute the carbon cubes for regular cubes and the carbon guns for regular Mark 10 guns. And I'll let you guys just go ahead and make that determination if you want to spend the extra to get the carbon cubes, as they are twice as expensive. If you guys are not sticking around, I'd just like to remind you to go ahead and thumbs up this video. Leaving a comment is always appreciated, and subscribe if you're new here. And I'll see you guys not sticking around in my next video here on Gamer Guide channel. But for all others, let's go ahead and head over to the garage now and start putting this thing together for ourselves. Alright, let's get started on the build. The first thing we'll need to do is put our name in. I chose Atlas AM-4 as AM is Assault Mech, and it was the 4th mech I made, so that's where the 4 comes from. You can find those little text symbols online if you just look up like star text symbol. First thing we're going to do here is place our Mark 10 cubes down in kind of a hollow frame formation, almost like a extended 8 in a way. We're using our mirror line tool. If you don't know how to turn that on, it's M by default now. It used to be X by default. So depending on when you started the game or have you switched your controls, try X or M on the keyboard. Alright, so we have our front part done. Not connecting to that, we're going to put another 2 cubes in the mirror fashion behind it. And then we're using these prisms so they're not connected to the front, but they appear to be from the top side. Then we're going to go ahead and run some more cubes behind those, 4 wide, and not touching the center column of the arrow, just like this. We're using another prism here, and that's going to help us with some damage transfer. And now we're going to go to orange cubes. On top, we're making like a little orange horseshoe that will sit right on top of the other cubes we just set down. And this is going to be where our pilot seat ends up a little later. That little indentation below is where we're going to put this Mark 4 thruster for an ejector seat. And could possibly save us if we get our craft destroyed. Alright, let's go ahead and put down some temporary cubes here so we can put one long arrow rod right underneath what we just created. And now we'll go back to using our black matte carbon cubes, or whatever Mark 10 cube you want to use. We're using some inners on the back just to give it kind of a rounded effect. And then here we're going to add some gun mounts where we'll put some arrow rods later on for our SMGs, our Mega SMGs. We'll go ahead and run some more cubes. We're using lots of cubes in this build, as they're the toughest kind of block. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a platform here pretty much entirely of armor. These little hollow parts underneath is where our legs are going to go in just a little bit. But first, let's go ahead and fill out the front here. Now that is a prism, if you didn't notice that. And then we're going to use some more prisms here, just to keep damage from traveling back to the pilot seat area from the front, as that's where most of our enemy shots are going to be coming from, especially SMG shots. And then here at the front, we're going to add some armor. Just filling this all in here with black cubes. Now I'm using these reddish black regular ones too, just to save a little expense, as these won't be visible from the outside. So feel free to save some RP where you can. So that's what we should have so far. Just kind of a base that we can stick some legs on now and work off of. We'll need to lift this up a little bit. Now I'm using my period and comma keys to raise and lower my vehicle. But if it doesn't work for you, check your controls to see what raising and lowering blocks is. You can also move them left or right. We're going to go put our legs on, and they should be flush with the sides, so they shouldn't be sticking out or anything like that. They'll fit right in that little groove we made earlier. Now we're going to go and pretty much add an entire layer of armor here, all in cubes, to the next layer. So just kind of watch the pattern. We're leaving that center part open, as we'll be putting prisms and things there. But here on the sides, pretty much using all cubes and just making a whole layer of armor now. And we'll go ahead and put our gun turrets and stuff like that based off this platform. Alright, now we're going back over to our orange cubes. And we're going to make another layer here around it. On the corners here, we'll go ahead and use inners. There we go. And a couple of tetra and some more of these inners. Now these are the short arrow rods, Mark 10. And we're going to connect them here, coming inwards, and those will attach to the side mounts for our pilot seat, making it a little harder to destroy us by direct shots, as you have to kind of hit the blocks all over the place or destroy the arrow rods, which are a little beefier than regular blocks. Alright, now these are just temps. As we're just wanting to put down this prism right there. So it's kind of suspended over that arrow rod we put earlier. And we'll use a inner, kind of round out this look here. And let's go ahead and add some more front side orange armor to the front. Now inside here we're using prisms because we want to take damage away from the pilot seat area if we do get hit by overhead plasma, and direct it into the rest of the body of our mech. So that's what that's about. And we're doing that in a couple layers here. So some more prisms here. These are orange ones coming down the side. And we'll put one at the back. A couple of tetra. And we're just kind of rounding out the look here with some inners. There we go. And we'll put one more prism back here. This will attach to our pilot seat. And then we're going to cover it with one not connected. Now you might need to put a temporary block down to get that face the right direction. So if you need to, take the time to do that. Alright, so here we're going to start building up our gun turret towers at the back. We'll start by making a little square of cubes. And make sure to have your mirror line mode on, of course. Next, we're going to use some inners. And a cube, and then back to an inner. And a cube. Inner, cube, inner, cube. And we're just making a pattern all the way around as our little gun turret tower narrows down as it gets up closer to the top. We're not putting anything in the middle, so there's no need to use any weird prism tricks or anything like that, and we're going to be putting a short arrow rod in the middle to actually mount the gun on, as it's a little tougher than a regular block. And we'll regenerate quicker too if we get one of the turrets blown off by plasma. Alright, we're going to extend the front out a little bit here, using some more carbon cubes and the prisms. And then let's go ahead and build out our front on the bottom here as well. We're going to leave a little channel between what we've already made in our armor and the front, just to more effectively use our armor. Now the place where I use the two little prisms, you could probably just put a cube there. It doesn't necessarily need to be a prism. Just wanted to not have it all connected and make sure it spreads out more evenly along the front. There we go. Alright, we'll use some more cubes now. And then here on the side, we're going back to tetra in inner. Just creating a nice look. Another inner here. We'll connect our cubes together. And now we're going to make our top layer. Now we're leaving a little gap here. So don't fill that in quite yet, because we're going to come back at the end and put some prisms there. Alright, at the very front too, we're going to add a little more decoration with prisms, inner, and tetra, and then some more of these orange Mark 10 cubes at the front. And this is for a little extra armor and some style points. There we go, another prisms and an inner, and we're connecting those to the orange blocks. There we go. This thing almost kind of looks like a bulldozer in a way to me. Only there's not really any black and orange combinations like that. And it certainly works that way too against enemies. Here on the bottom side, these are all prisms, and we're facing with the flat side forward, connected to the top. And we're going to come down a little further too to help defend our legs and also the rods that we're going to be holding the Mega SMG onto the front. Alright, let's put some more inner there, and then we'll extend this down a little bit more. We're going to go and put some more prisms off the other prisms we just mounted on. And now some more prisms with the flat side forward. That's a tetra there, and then we're using an orange tetra here in the middle. And then that will be ready for our arrow rods near the end of this build. Alright, let's go ahead and grab our short arrow rods, and we're going to go and plug them into our gun turrets here. So put it right in the center, and it should be flush at the top. Let's go ahead and drop our pilot seat in the middle here. It goes right on top of that Mark IV thruster. And then we'll put our windshields in. So just little decorative additions. There we go. If you didn't want to do windshields, it'd be better served if you use an actual Mark 10 cube. So that's optional. We're using curved arrow rods here, facing the same way I am, off the back and that little hole we left in the turrets earlier. And then we're going to put them right here too, so they're flush with the front. Alright, and then those blocks we put down earlier will just act as a guard for our arrow rod. Alright, so now we're going to use some temporary blocks here on the side. We'll put 2 prisms there. And then we're going to put a prism face sideways off that and delete these temporary blocks. We're going to put 1 prism connected to that cube. And another one on the back, so it's not connected to the front, as that's where most of the shots from an enemy are going to come. Now we'll go ahead and put our regular SMGs, Mark 10, on those spots. Make sure to put the front ones on those prisms we just laid down so that they're protected against front side shots. And now for our Mega SMGs, you're going to put the connecting side on the leg here. Right there, right on the front of the leg, and then the back mount should align perfectly with the curved arrow rods. And then same with this one, put it right there on that cube, and the bottom 2 feet should match up with the curved arrow rods on the bottom. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you so much for building my Atlas AM-4, and I hope it brings you lots of RPs and lots of fun games, more importantly, in Robocraft. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, if you had a chance to build it, and if you've built any or played any fun robots on the Community Robot Factory lately. And I'll see you guys real soon in my next episode here on Gamer Guide channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, thumbs up this video, and I'll see you next time. Later.